welcome. Today, Krusty Karl does lab assignment 11, which is probably video 12, and we're going to remote control this frequency drive with a 10,000 ohm speed pot, just a potentiometer. So wiring this bad boy is pretty straightforward. You pull all the wires out of the terminal strip, and the common on this potentiometer is white, and we're putting it to 53. And obviously the red will then go to 55 on the terminal strip, and the black of the potentiometer will go to 50. So again, 10,000 ohms. The dip switch that hides underneath of this LCP, there's a little dip switch for your terminals, for terminal 53 and terminal 54 are there. It has a U, and I'll try and remember to show that. There's a U or an I setting, and what they're talking about is if you want terminal 53 to see a voltage command, a variable voltage command from 0.5 volts, 0.07 volts to 10, then you got to set it to U. So U is the universal symbol for voltage, and then the I is going to be a current draw, a current output of a transducer per se. So because our terminal strip's 24 volts, and it's going to drop its voltage down to decimal 0.07 volts at the minimum value of the potentiometer, 0 ohms, and then at the 10 ohms, and then at the 10,000 ohms, and then when we go down to the 0, it will obviously give us the most output 10 volts. So it's decimal 0.7 to 10 volts across a potentiometer. You can do this with other potentiometers, but be careful you don't burn out your little 24 volts DC power supply on the drive. Okay, so that little switch is right below the D9 plug on the actual frequency drive. It sits in behind this cat. So here are parameters we got to change today to make this all work. So first thing we're going to do is go into parameter 20 to make sure that terminal 53 is meant to see the feedback source for us. Okay, so we're going to do that first. And I don't know if I can go, yeah, I can, there you go. It's on like a Rolodex, right? It's just a rolling screen. So all I did was I went up instead of down to get right here to 20 quickly. So in here, in number 20, we're going to go in here to feedback, and the first thing you can see is it's set for analog input on terminal number 53. We're going to use that to control the drive. Okay, so then we'll go back to our screen, and then we'll roll down now, and we have to go to point 0, parameter 0. I go back more and more. I'm not out of it yet, sorry. There you go. Oh, there you go, I'm back. So right at the beginning, number 0, operation and display. I want to change the motor speed unit 00 to RPM from what I think it was hertz before. So that's 0-02 motor speed unit is RPM. And we're going to go back. And here we're going to go to LCP display. We're going to get it to display what our RPM is. So in 0.02, we're going to go to our, like we did before, we changed it to DC bus voltage. This time we're going to change it to line 1.3, display line 1.3 small. The unit is going to be RPM that we're going to see. So it'll be 0 to 1800 RPM. And I get it that it's 1725, but anyway, I'm just making it easy. So that is toggling number 16, 17 is speed RPM. You should see the stuff in here you could make the display show us. It's crazy. So, all right, go back to number 3 now. Number 13. 313 references. And we're going to go down here to number 13, and we have to accept a remote reference now. So we want a remote command to control this based on a variable voltage from our potentiometer. Okay, we're going to turn it on by hand with a hand key, but everything else will be the same. So now we'll go down to number 6. Just keep going back here, and we'll go into unit number 6, analog input, number 53. So that's going to be the one that we're going to use for our minimums, maximums, and our voltages that it will set for minimum and minimum and maximum. So in here, 610 should be set to decimal 07. That's the default. So that's the lowest voltage that terminal 53 is going to see. The next one down in there, the maximum highest voltage terminal 53 will see is 10. And then we're going to go to number 14. The low reference feedback value should be 0 for 6-14, terminal 53, low value for feedback. And then one more, next one will be the maximum. The maximum reference 53 should be 1800. And really, you should call it 1725 if you were leaving with this with a customer, but we're not. All right, so we're going to go back now to status. That's it. Get us out of here. And I'm going to go down to the bottom here, and I'm going to hit hand on. And I have the potentiometer turned all the way over to maximum. And I'll show you that in a second. You can see that the status here is 100%. You can see the current draw. You can see the RPM on that line 1-13. And you can see we're running on the reference of 60 hertz. And I'll just slow it down a little bit, and I'll show you that in a second. And you can see the status now that I'm rolling it down to around halfway in the percentage. I'll just roll it down a little more, and then you can hear it rolling down, and it's showing you the RPM at that frequency. That's just a relationship, period, between the hertz and the RPM on the scale. It's not really that fancy. So that's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I'm going to push this off button here and show you one other cool little thing that you can see here. I've got the motor ramping off, and so it's basically stopped now. And I'm just going to move the potentiometer, and you can see the percentage up here changing. Okay? So that's just showing you where it is in the current draw on that terminal 53. That's all it's really telling you. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And I'll turn my camera now to show you the potentiometer. It's upside down. I gotta rotate the image. There you go. So that's my potentiometer. I'm going to hit hand on. And I don't know if I can get all this in there. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Turn the light back on. It was bothering my display today, the light. So you can see the shaft here of the motor turning. And I'll just put my other hand over there and crank her up a little bit more, higher, 100%. And you can see the shaft turning fast. I don't, because of the optics of the camera, it looks like it's not rolling, but it is. It's going. It's zooming. So slow it down. And away you go. And that's how you'd set up a transducer or anything that you want, really, to control RPM of a condenser fan motor, etc. Any of those would work. All right, so that's it. We're out.